Yes, I'm actually here. I wonder if it bumps it up the moment I start saying anything. I've heard that it does. Yes, it does. That's weird. Basically what it does, supposedly, is if you're not saying anything and you're just getting ready, it sits it in the algorithm on, like, hold. And, you know, it's only really noticeable if you're, like, a streamer that has, like, really small viewer basis like this. But then once you actually start speaking, then it actually puts it out there into people's recommendeds or whatever the fuck. It's weird. But for people that are actually, you know, they got, like, hundreds of thousands of subs and... like, it doesn't really matter. Alright, let's get started. I could do with one today. That was better than last night's. Oof. Jesus Christ. Of course, getting shot in the dick with a 12 gauge would be better than everything that happened last night.
Civic TV, the one you take to bed with you.
I have a bad case of diarrhea.
I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea.
Dr. Pharaoh. Dr. Pharaoh. Dr. Pharaoh.
Raw time.
I'd like to give a shout out to my sister Hillary, and also fuck you.
Fuck me. Raw time.
Why a big boost of confidence, a little more self-esteem.
Anyways, these are examples of the worst videos in the world that we're playing tonight that really suck. And we just want to let everybody know what they should not be watching and should not be listening to, alright?
That was too appropriate for yesterday. I should have used that instead. Oof. Rough. Rough. Rough, rough, rough. How are you? Happy New Year. I'm glad that nobody watches this shit so they don't have to see this sort of unprofessionalism on display. Ugh. I should have more mental breakdowns on stream. That seems like content that's stimulating to people, especially when they like aggravating them out of me. So, what's up, y'all? Christian Peck says hello. How's it going, Christian? I got actually a few videos I want to watch today, all prepared. I actually curated some stuff. Problematic roller coasters is the first one I want to watch. We'll do that in a little bit. I'm not going to go into it. Sorry, Buzzard. It's nothing I want to talk about. It's the kind of gaslighting bullshit that makes me want to put my fucking head through a wall. The kind of shit that other people are totally okay with people doing. Because they're just, you know. The kind of shit that makes you want to wind up on like a Dateline documentary as the villain. Because you've ceased giving a shit about what the world will think of you. You can wind up in somebody's top 10 evil YouTubers compilation, and then a whole bunch of people in the comments can pretend they give a shit when they just tuned in the video for like 30 seconds. I'm feeling better a little. Oh, that's interesting. I actually have a message that I've been asked to read on stream. Hang on. Oh boy, relationship advice. Really? Do I want to even do this? For one, I'm shit at giving relationship advice, and two, I don't. Do I? I'm so like with what happened last night. I'm like so vitriolic right now that this can only be a net negative for like everything around me to do this. Because I don't know that I'm gonna like give the best advice. Hang on, let me read this really quickly. Okay, bad breakup, mental illness was involved. Something I know all about. How do I handle? So, relationship of like 5 years dissolved, and mental illness was a factor. I feel hazed about it. Felt like their friends were isolating them as well. Honestly, everybody's situation is different. Your mileage may vary. How do I put this? Honestly, how do you process getting through something like that? Feel better that you don't have to deal with it anymore, because if you're dealing with a relationship that's on rocky ground because you have mental illness problems and your partner is being a fucking moron that just does not want to actually work through anything with you on that basis, it's only going to get worse over time. And you're just prolonging your own suffering at that point. Some people put on a really good face. They put on a really good mask. They don't actually give a fucking shit about like what it is you're mentally going through. They're more or less just constantly annoyed by it. But as long as they can keep up the facade around other people and get them to think that, hey, you know what? I really support them getting better and all this other shit. I mean, it's like operating as a snake out in the open because nobody's like willing to question that shit. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that was the answer that they wanted, but from my experience with people are just like, I can't deal with your fucking mental breakdowns anymore. It wasn't going to work to begin with. You know, it was already on shaky ground to begin with. So, I don't know. The majority loves giving others false praise. Well, I mean, it's just not even just false praise. It's just that people can't hold two ideas in their head at the same time anymore, even if those ideas are both true. It's just, you know, somebody can... No, that's not how I want to put it. It's like I don't have enough information to really critique their situation to go on. Like I said, just like if you feel like you're being hazed about like your mental health and your relationship dissolved because of mental health problems, you're probably better off without somebody that just doesn't want to put any goddamn effort into, like, you know, dealing with whatever it is that you particularly deal with, if that makes any sense. Because a lot of people will say that they will, and they'll say that, look, I tried, and you start digging and digging and digging and realize, well, they didn't actually try. they basically just aggravated the problems constantly by not actually looking up like what the fuck is going on in this particular specific, you know, scenario, and inadvertently, or in some cases actively, gaslit the shit out of it. So I dealt with something like that very recently, and it was absolutely just aggravating beyond belief. So from that basis, I can sort of relate. Happy New Year, Mr. Red. Let me see. Let me give this another shot, because I don't think that was all the answer they wanted. For years, broke it off with me and was really rough. Had a lot to do with my mental illness and life situation. Felt like I was being hazed a lot for both, and some of it was out of my control. Yeah, how do I process this sort of thing, and what's a good strategy for moving forward? Yeah, just be happy that you don't have to deal with it anymore. You know, there's some elements of mental illness are out of your control. There's nothing that you can do to, like, stop being mentally ill. You know, it's just how it is. It's just how it is. But if you're being hazed, see, that's the part that bothers me. That's the part that bothers me. I got sent this over Facebook. So if you're able to, like, send me, who sent this to me, like, a response to this, and let me know if you can come into the chat, if you're in the chat, and kind of expound, if you're comfortable with doing that, what you meant by being hazed, then I guess I could, I don't know. Like, if somebody's purposely fucking with you because you have, like, how do I put this? If somebody's purposely fucking with you because they know that you have anxiety, and they're just, like, pushing your buttons and pulling all your straws, then that person is a piece of shit, and they're not unaware that they're doing that. In my experience, every single fucking person ever who does shit like that is entirely 100% fully aware that they're doing that, and they're doing it, I guess, to test the waters a bit. Like, you know, how much can I get away with? How much can I fuck with this person? How much can I pull them out of their comfort zone and get what I want out of them? Because they're doing it intentionally. And it seems like a big, stupid thing to say. Like, well, you can't know that. It's like, well, if you're aware that somebody, like for me, for example, if you're aware that somebody has, like, BPD and they have really childish, explosive reactions to things, and you just keep doing the same shit over and over and over, that's going to get you that same reaction, or you were made aware that, hey, I'm walking on eggshells mentally right now, please no heavy shit, I'm going to blow up, and they just choose to do that anyway, they're not stupid. They know what they were doing, and they did it on purpose. And that's fucked up. Like, hazing people with their mental illness, if you're like a neurotypical or whatever the fuck you want to call it, is the most asshole-ish fucked up thing anybody can fucking do. I have no respect for people that do that shit. I've had experiences with people who do that shit. I've had experiences with people who do that shit and then they claim to be mental health advocates. I just want people to do better for themselves, but I get to fuck over everyone I want to fuck over. And in a lot of cases, it's because they've, like, sort of safeguarded themselves like a safety net of people who are in their life, but they're, like, not in their life enough to know that they do shit like this. That's the dangerous part with people like that. That they're... It's hard to not let people bully you, especially when they don't elicit a reaction. Yeah. Well, you see that a lot with ASPD, antisocial personality disorder. See, people give that one kind of a bad misnomer, because when they hear antisocial, you know, they think, well, they just don't go out a whole lot, you know, like introverted. It's like, no, it's like social retardation. It's like whatever socionormative behaviors that we all kind of agreed upon that we don't engage in with each other, like fucking people over for fucking people over for like a percentage, you know, they don't get. They'll just do it because it's in their nature to do it. Or other more obscure shit. Like I said, they'll accumulate enough people around them because they put on a good enough mask to operate out in the open And then those people don't even realize that they're kind of being used. They're not in the life of the person enough to know that all the dramas, all the craziness this person's going through are totally self-inflicted. They're causing the groundwork for all this shit. You know? It's just like, oh, God, that person you had that problem with sounds like a real piece of shit. They don't know that, well, yeah, I mean, I kept pushing their buttons over and over and over and over and over and over again. I kept fucking with them and fucking with them and fucking with them and fucking with them and fucking with them until they fucking snapped, because they're not that close to the situation. And if you're that person that's being fucked with, that's like a sick position to be in. It's like an unwinnable position to be in, because then you're defending yourself uphill in an undefendable position, because then you're basically trying to make the argument that a person people know is doing this shit to you when they already have like a confirmation bias that that's not cogent, that can't be possible. It's not even mob rule. What it is this current, I wouldn't say generation, but societal climate, because of people's complete and total misunderstanding of like mental health and all this other shit. They read too much bullshit on the internet. They don't actually try to get any real information about this. And it's really caused a lot of problems in this regard. They can't hold two truths in their head at the same time. That the person I know is my friend or my family member or my sibling or my mom or my dad or my brother or my sister or whatever the fuck. But they also can be capable of being a total piece of shit and have stuff to straighten out. You know, that's why I don't take it seriously anymore when people say shit like, well, I call them out on stuff, all the time. It's like, do you? Like, how do you call them out? Like, hey, this is totally fucked up and bullshit, and if you keep going down this road, I'm not going to fucking talk to you anymore, call out, or that was a little messed up. Because there's a huge difference between the two. A huge difference between the two. People call me on my shit all the time, and they do it legitimately, like when I have mental breakdowns on stream and do really fucking stupid shit, like scare the shit out of like the majority of my audience. I get a rash of shit from everybody I know, and rightfully so. I'm going to move my camera really quickly. I don't like it being up there anymore. I think I'm going to put a better mount for this thing soon. It's just kind of bothering me to just like see my giant forehead, my 5 head or 6 head. But anyway, I get like eviscerated routinely by people for my stupid shit that are fully aware of like why it's happening and fully aware of like the implications that if it doesn't stop, it's just going to turn into this sick, toxic sewage of a fucking situation, But then with the experiences that I've had with others that seem to like symptomatically do similar shit and don't even realize it, they don't have that. They just get like ass pats constantly, like, oh, it'll be fine. Never, yeah, you caused something to explode in your fucking face for the 1,000th time because you're a fucking impulsive dumb shit who has no ability to control their fucking behavior. But hey, you know what? It's fine. Have I heard about the retirement of Mr. Medicare? Well, isn't he like sick with something? Doesn't he have like throat cancer? Aurora's Shadows. Aura's Shadows? That's a neat name. That'd be a cool name for a band, I think. I can't stop mentally... here, hang on a second. I can't stop being mentally ill, but if I can take steps to manage it, if I don't do squat about my own problems, but I'm the one who needs to... If I can't expect my partner to sort my life out for me. Yeah, exactly. See, that's what it is. With my shit, I never expect anybody. If I get into relationships, if I get into like serious friendships, I don't expect people to sort my problems out with me. But this is the thing that's really been pisser about relationships for me for the longest time. I don't expect anybody to be able to handle the shit that I can dish out. In fact, I expect that the majority of people that I'll encounter in my life in those regards, because with people like me, you inadvertently have like a revolving door policy because you fuck up so much shit. People are coming in and out and in and out and in and out and in and out, People are coming in and out of your life more than people on OnlyFans, believe me. You just kind of get used to it. And you expect that the majority of the population does not have the facility to deal with shit of this severity. But then you get like snakes every so often that manipulate you into thinking that you do, you know, that they do, and they're fucking with you. Some people are malevolent as well, and that's the problem. Some people are malevolent too. That is a very serious problem. That they kind of get off on fucking with you, and then they just don't want it public. They get like, they'll get more mad that it's pointed out that they like doing shit like that than they're actually mad at you saying it like you're being an offensive fucking jackass, making a total miscalculation of their character. It's like, no, you're more mad that it's out there because it allows you less of an ability to do it openly than you are like, you're wrong. It's like, no, sorry. I've been a piece of shit too long to not recognize other pieces of shit. You know, I recognize similar stink, if that makes any sense. That did bother me, like in their message, though. That they were saying they were being hazed over their mental health. I can smell you vibes. Yeah. Manipulation's advantage is to oppress the ignorance. Well, it's also exploiting ignorance in some people or naivete in some people because they have this expectation that people aren't going to just show up in your life to fuck you over on purpose, and yet some people do. You know? They do. It's like how they succeed or climb social hierarchies. I really hate when people say that that's not what they do, too. If they want to climb, like, social ladders. Like, I don't do that. Well, then what the fuck? You're surrounding yourself with people that put you at certain socially advantageous or commercially advantageous places to be, and then you're fucking lying to somebody's face saying that you don't do that. What the fuck is that shit? I don't keep up with people like that. I don't climb social ladders. But you do. Some people are like Spider-Man about that shit. Honestly, I'm mixed about Medicare. He's funny, but I also can promote some stupid shit. Either way, rest in peace, Medicare. You made your legacy on the web first as Jim81 Jim. Is that a demon ring? No, it's a wolf. They had one that was like a demon, but the horns on it looked like they were going to get caught on everything. And this guy already kind of does too. The one that gets caught the most on shit is this guy. These are all wolves. And the little wolf mouths, they tend to get stuck on shit. Especially these sleeves. They get cut on the phrase. Internet insanity. I've met so many fucking people over the years in online communities that could have been on internet insanity, but I liked how he did like enclaves of internet communities, like as collectives. Like the whole Sonic thing, or DeviantArt in general. Oof. What the hell has that site become? What the hell has that site become? They promote so much AI art on there. It's fucking nuts. It's like, why even be an art site when you can just, like, you know, push a button and then the thing makes a fucking Picasso for you or something. It's taking the artist out of art. The artistry out of art. Because the thing is, it doesn't even require artistry to do any of that shit. It's literally just, like, you put in, like, text of, like, for AI art, what you want it to make. Like, I want a picture of yada, 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 and then it just spits it out. Like, you don't even have to have any artistic skill. You just have to basically be correctly wordy enough, and it makes what you want. Nick Bait. Oh, Jesus. Nick Bait was fucking scary, fucking crazy. I don't even know, would you call somebody like that a lol cow? I don't even know if you call him a lol cow because of what he did. The black supremacists. Oh, you mean the Israelites? Those guys? I know many a Jew who are weirded out by those guys. They don't even know what to make of them. So that was where I was red pilled that even actual Jews are like weirded out by black Israelite supremacists. Cyrex Chance is still coming back over and over. Yeah, Cyrax is like a horror cow, but he's also like seriously mentally disadvantaged. Like, he's retarded. Let's just be fucking fair. He's fucking retarded. And with that in mind, nothing he does really surprises me. He has like an IQ that's what, like fucking 68? So it's not super shocking that a dude who's got a room temperature IQ does all this weird scumfucky shit. It's like the same thing with Chris Chan. Chris Chan was a byproduct of gigaboomers like Barb and Bob, and they didn't know what the hell to do with this kid's fucking emotional problems and the fact that he was seriously autistic. And it's not shocking that because of that, he was dressing like he was in the second grade in his 30s until his 40s, and when the internet found him, it was just off the rails. It's like, yes, what these people do is shitty, but by no means is it surprising. Game Dude, I'm convinced that dude was a full-blown AVGN stalker. He wasn't an AVGN stalker. He was a stalker, but he was more an AVGN ripoff. He was an AVGN ripoff, and a lot of people were at the time, because AVGN blew up on YouTube. And what has happened every single time somebody blows up on YouTube? They copy the fucking format because it fucking works. They just do what other people do because it works. And now with the algorithm, you know, being the way that it is, excuse me, you know, you're incentivized to do that because now you're not going to be fucking nobody if you don't. I would feel bad for Chris Chan if she didn't fuck her mom. I'm sure a lot of people would. It would be so hard to make a movie, not the documentary that what's his name is doing about him, but like a movie about Chris, because like, where do you start and where do you end? Like, there's so many layers to this shit. It's like impossible. Like, where do you start and where do you end? Like, you could go into like the failure of all of our fucking systems, you know, like social services, and what a fucking waste it is that it doesn't have the facility to take care of people like this. You could go into internet communities run amok. You could go in like a million different directions. It's just, it's not like the Onision thing where it's cut and dry. Like, the guy was a like fame drunk fuckhead who used his weird power dynamic between him and his audience to his advantage. I mean, that's pretty fucking simple. Even the documentary that they made, pretty much, that was the extent of what you could do. But with Chris, there's so many fucking layers. There's so much shit. I still feel a bit bad about Chris due to how absolutely insane she is, but I do understand that that being a point for someone to lose pity. Yeah, because at a certain point it crosses a threshold and you can't feel sympathy anymore. You can't. Because they're too aware of what they're doing to not be doing it unironically or accidentally. Give me a second. Now, Chris was on a whole nother fucking spectrum. If you're high functioning, it's pretty much like, how the fuck did this go unnoticed? Because people didn't care. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with your comments. Sorry, I'm doing this like one man show today. So some of your comments, based on some of the language you use in them, they get like hidden. I have to manually show them. I never understood the whole social hierarchy bullshit. This is Jarl Ulf Hednar. That's a fucking cool name. I never understood the whole social hierarchy bullshit. Just be friends with someone because you like their presence or vice versa. I don't get why that's so hard for some people. Because they don't want to be friends. Like, it's not even a... So, when I talk about people that are, like, climbing social ladders, it's that they're seeking a certain position of, like, dominance in a particular social clique. It's so dumb. Like, you do this shit in high school, and people don't grow out of it as much as they'd like to think that they do. Especially when you directly notice them constantly gravitating back toward that shit. Constantly gravitating back toward that shit. Hey, Alexis, what's going on? You know, so the way that I'm describing it is people that go out of their way, either through being like flirty or being overly friendly, and not in maybe a flirty sense, but they're throwing themselves at people that can benefit themselves to throw themselves at. You know, it's like, I'm just building connections. It's like, no, you're climbing a social ladder. That's what the fuck you're doing. Just call it what the fuck it is. Like, I don't like when people say that's not what it is. You know, that's what it is. You know, you're trying to basically position your chess pieces in a particular order so that when you want to checkmate and succeed in whatever the fuck it is you're doing this stupid bullshit for, it's more advantageous for you at that point, you know? It's ridiculous. It's basically you're finding people to use as stepping stones to put yourself forward in success while giving them the impression that you actually give a fuck about their success, which you don't, because if you gave a fuck about their success, you wouldn't fucking do that. You try to find a way to mutually work together, but people a lot of the time are not like that. I don't like the fact that they're not, but what you gonna do? It's dog eat dog, really. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bossy, stupid bullshit. I shut that shit down wherever I fucking encounter that. I don't let people do that gatekeeping fucking bullshit. I hate to. I hate that gatekeeping fucking bullshit where it's like, hey, I'm here. You're not going to get past it. Get the fuck out of my way. All right? Bullshit. You know, everybody should deserve their shot. They should deserve their chance to shoot their shot. You know? Instead of some... You see this a lot in the music business, too. Some pretentious fucking asshole, you know, that's like, hey, I worked my butt off to get up to this level. I'm not going to have that taken by anybody else. Fuck that shit. Hang on a second. My lights are doing weird shit. They're going like red... dark, and then like a normal red. As far as pity goes, my crazy ex had a horrible past and I feel bad for her, but there comes a point where enough is enough. Yeah, I agree with that, Psychofliction. I agree with that like more ways than you'd expect. People can come from really shitty pasts, but you have to at some point stop justifying their bad behavior. People have to do that with me sometimes too. I'm not immune from this. And I've met plenty of people who are 100% like that. 100% like that. You know, it's just like, I get it. You've been through a lot of shit. And you want me to be convinced that you've actually learned something from it. And now you're hitting your growth arc. You're going to hit your fucking stride. And then what do? You fucking run headfirst straight into a brick wall and you repeat the fucking problems you just went through over and over again because you've got the big dick of trauma stuck down your throat and you're too comfortable sucking it dry. You won't, you know, go too far until you just let that shit go, but it's too hard for some people. It also becomes part and parcel of who they are. Especially bad offenders are people who say that that's not what they're doing. Again, it's like a denial thing. I guess it's really just what I don't like. I don't like people that deny their nature. You know, they surround themselves with yes men. They deny what they really are. And they claim to do things that you can clearly observe them doing, but because it's not within their semantics of like how they're particularly doing it, it's something totally different. It's bullshit. There was a story of a dad in New Jersey who put a tape recorder in his autistic son and got his teachers bullying him. Oh, I remember that. I remember reading a news story about that. Yeah. And then I think I saw like a small YouTube video about it. Yeah, it was fucked up. It was fucked up. It was like a kindergarten class, I think it was. And the teachers were being a bunch of fucking assholes to all the students because they were just not trained in how to handle their special needs. You know, they were smacking them around. They were yelling at them. It was quite upsetting. But the school board didn't believe that this was going on. That's a problem intrinsic to the school system in this country, though. That's a really bad fucking thing that we need to really deal with. Even my granddad, because he was a teacher for like 35 years, complained about this when he was still working. I remember him talking about it a couple of times. And after he retired, we talked about it a couple of times then, too. And the complicity the school board has with lots of cases of abuse happening to either special needs students or just in classrooms in general. At a certain point, because there gets to be a point where the students have grown up enough to be able to take you, especially if you're like some turbo boomer who's a bit out of shape, once they hit those high school later years, you know, especially if they're on like the school like wrestling team or something. But when it's like the younger ones who can't defend themselves, you know, the school boards and a lot of school districts in general, all the way up to like the superintendent level, don't give a shit because they're so desperate for teachers. They're so desperate for anybody they can put down as tenure that they just put up with this fucking shit. They're like, whatever, what are we going to do? We're going to fire these people and then we're going to recuperate the numbers of people that we fire with what? We're going to replace these people with who? You know? Education sucks in this fucking country. It fucking sucks. That's why we're behind in motherfucking everything. Absolutely motherfucking everything. Watch out for nepotism. Yeah, pretty much. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, and especially in elementary school, the teachers would be the biggest bullies. They go gunnery Sergeant Hartman on a kid for the littlest of reasons. Yeah. Well, I've known people that have been the byproducts of religious schooling, and believe me, the side effects show even all the way into adulthood. They do. Snooty bitchiness could be one of them. Not knowing when to back that fucking bullshit off. That's another one of them. And it sucks because it's just like it's ingrained into you from a young age. An unhealthy attachment to science fiction. I mean religion. An unhealthy attachment to the idea that archaic institutions actually have some sort of deeper spiritual meaning, even though they were purposely constructed to manipulate people into thinking all their stupid litigious horse shit was real when they knew it wasn't. Big buildings, stained glass, all this ornate stuff. It must mean it's all real. No. It's just overwhelming for your brain, and your brain's dumping chemicals into itself, and you're not feeling any sort of divine connection. You're just getting, like, kinda high. That's what's fucking happening to you. None of this shit is real. I don't mind if people have an attachment to their spirituality or all that other shit, but you're not connecting to divine stuff out there. In my opinion, you're not. I don't believe in that shit myself. If any of that shit was real, it would have annihilated this world millennia ago. We are not worthy of spiritual intervention as a species. We all use it for selfish, petty, stupid fucking reasons. I haven't known many people in my life who don't. I mean, there's a lot of examples of this. Saint Anthony, for one. Is that not a good enough example? I had to Google it because I forgot his name. But I grew up in a Lutheran background. I couldn't take it seriously. I didn't like the fact that there were no answers given for anything. I didn't like the fact that the adults in my life could not justify their dogma. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to believe in this Sky Daddy that is omnipotent and omniscient, yet has no ability to affect the past, present, or future for reasons, and also allows unmitigated and unrelenting horror to run rampant in its universe of its own creation that it made of its own volition. That's not a loving God. That sounds like some demonic chaos entity that's just sociopathically malevolent and likes causing hell everywhere just for the hell of it. That's stupid. Hey, Alex, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I did the edgy thing when I was like fucking 19 and burned my Bible. It was given to you, and I was like, so fucking what? I could get one in a goddamn hotel for what? For they're everywhere. Who cares? People don't want to be alone. They're so desperate to not be alone. They came up with this shit. So what? I don't want to be alone. So what happened? I went crazy. That's what happened to me. I don't have a problem with people practicing religion as they don't try to shove it down other people's throats. I don't have a problem with people believing in what it is that they believe at all. I guess like my issue comes in when they start bringing it into reality too much. You know, people do that astrology shit nowadays in the way that they do it. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, like the way that people talk about it, like nowadays, it just bothers the shit out of me. It's like, here are these basic personality traits that like every single person on the fucking planet, regardless of when they were born, happens to cohabitate. And yet I'm special. No, you're like everybody the fuck else out there. You're wanting like this particular stupid little badge of like, you're unique. Here's your star sticker. You're not unique. You're not, yeah, stars like astrology, Leo, Taurus, whatever, any of that shit. I don't know what any of that is because I literally don't give a fuck about any of that nonsense. I should say, I like esoteric and occulty stuff from like a historical perspective and like an aesthetic perspective. But I don't really see the use in trying to live your life vicariously through the ways people did like 1400 years ago, because you don't live 1400 years ago. Like I can cover my body in some like rash fucking causing herbal salve from like poison oak for all I fucking give a shit to heal my fever or like get rid of a cold. Or I could just go to the store and get some fucking like, you know, NyQuil. Copeland. Kenneth Copeland. Oh, isn't that the guy who lost his shit about COVID? Isn't that the one who lost his shit about COVID? Or the one who had the jet? That's the same guy, I think. I don't know what any of these lunatics' names are. They're all the same to me. They're just fucking grifters. Yeah, best called is Ark Voodle. Hail Ark Voodle, Larg to the sacred crotch. Yeah, Kenneth Copeland is fun to meme on. In fact, one of my favorite tracks by Defense is actually one of his rants, I believe. I'll link it. I'll link it below. I'll link it below because I don't feel like killing my monetization this early. Some would say, I will pray for you. What are you, a spellcaster? I never understood, like, Christians' aversion to, like, magic on that basis, because it's like, well, okay, then what is faith healing? What is prayer? What is any of this stupid ritualistic nonsense you fucking people do? Like, what the fuck? What is any of it then? It's the same thing. It's just your version of it. You know, have I prayed, especially for people that were ill or dying in my life? Yeah. Did I think it would do anything? No. The only reason I did it is I was depressed as fuck and incapable of accepting the fact that somebody I knew was going to fucking never be around anymore. When my dad was sick and dying, and he basically, I ended up having to be the one to make the decision to pull the plug. I prayed. I knew it wouldn't do anything, but I did it because I was upset and having a mental breakdown. I think maybe that's where people's emotional attachment to a lot of this shit comes from, because it has to be based in such a deep-rooted part of your emotion. Honestly, I like Gnosticism, occultism, and many Middle Eastern magic stuff. Like I said, I mean, I don't mind people being into what they're into. I don't diss on anybody for believing what it is that they believe. They start shoving it down my throat, and it's just obvious nonsense. I'm going to tune it out. But myself personally, I don't take it 100% to heart because there's no reason to. For some people, it's just like a badge of something, like they wear. Like, this is me, you know? It's like the spirituality version of like one of those hats that Vietnam vets wear, where they have, you know, like they served or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Like those Korean War guys. It's like the same thing. It's like, we get it. We get it. We get it. You spend a lot of time in the forest and collect dead things. We get it. You took a lot of shit your entire fucking life for being different, and now that nobody gives a fuck as you're an adult and people have gotten over those sort of hang-ups, you're bouncing back like really fucking hard, and this is some part of a weird, like, identity cope. At least that's some people make me feel about it. But what do I know? The idea of 80 to 100 years of any wrongdoing being equal to burning in a pit of fire for eternity is kind of whack. Well, see, that's the shit that turned me off to Christianity or any sort of Abrahamic religions to begin with, because they were just too... The motivations of a divine entity that lasts for eternity and exists in all things at all times is basically Doctor Strange or whatever, you know. Having those human of motivations bothered the shit out of me. I was like, those are not divine motivations. Those are not divine character traits. Those are human motivations. That's human pettiness. That's a human character flaw. This is what a bunch of people with a shitload of ego problems and attitude problems would want people to believe in order to continue to control the shit out of their, like, populations. Scare the crap out of people with stuff that you can't prove via unfalsifiable hypotheses, and they'll go along with it because, well, you can't know one way or the other, so you might as well do what we've established as the status quo of the right thing to do. And it works. I mean, hell, most of our law is based on this principle anyway. Even today, it worked. Is it right? No. Is it fair? No. Does it make any fucking sense? No. But it's been established for 2,000 years, so who's going to change it? Nobody. And then there's some of these fucking people in my country over here in the States that are just so fucking loony they defend it. They defend it endlessly. There was a controversy in the early 2000s. They were taking the 10 Commandments out of there was like a big sculpture of like the 10 Commandments out of like a courthouse. And these fucking dumbasses were losing their shit that this ugly bronze totem to the most basic, you don't do this sort of fucking shit, or do this sort of shit, was going away. It's like your moral compass is so fucking weak that you need to be constantly reminded of it by a sculpture. Your moral fiber is so weak that you needed something from God himself to tell you, don't fucking kill people. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking shitting me? It's insane. Oh, I live around the Bible Belt, man. I mean, it gets nuts. Whenever the abortion subject does another surge and people give a fuck about it randomly again, you know, not with the Roe versus Wade thing. That was bullshit. They should have never fucking gotten rid of that. That was bullshit to get rid of. But, you know, whenever the topic in general comes on the table, oh my God. You know, there's some like little small towns I like visiting every so often around these parts, you know. But the problem is the congregation of people that tend to inhabit places like that. You know, it's a little bit of a shallow gene pool. I mean, I remember driving down one. Oh, it was nuts. It was nuts. Like both sides of the street, they're just like standing outside their little fucking church, you know, in the middle of the town. It was like a nice little place to go to until this. They just, you know, they have their propaganda and all this other stuff. You know, fill the world with billions and billions and billions and billions of people. Fill it with so many fucking people that we don't have the resources to sustain all this because the voice in my head, it's totally not schizophrenia, said that you should. Not bothered my ass. Triggered. Not bothered my ass. I'm feeling better than I was last night. Last night, I'm not going to get into it too much. Some of you may have seen it. Some of you might not have. There was like a very brief stream. I am not going to do that again. I'll just say that much. I am not going to lower myself that again to that level. I personally believe the statues shouldn't have been destroyed. No, they saved them, but they were basically, so they were like in a courthouse, and because of separation of church and state, they were being removed. I should have like, I should have like fleshed that out a little better. So they were like a big, it was like a big sculpture of the Ten Commandments. They were being removed from a courthouse because of our separation of church and state. And then people were like losing their shit, like put them back. It's like, no, I do not want a fucking already corrupt as fuck institution getting backed by an already corrupt institution. Oh, the Confederate statues? I don't know that that was fair. I love when people who don't fucking live in my country judge shit like that. Well, it's just racist stuff. Shut the fuck up. It's part of my country's history, and you know what? It's not a pleasant fucking part of it, so of course it's not really an icon to a better time, but it's still part of my country's history. You could at least archive it for, like, historically, you know, archival purposes. Instead of just destroying the damn thing, instead of being some stupid fuckwit who doesn't fucking live here and just constantly jumping on whatever goddamn dumbass moral and social fucking high horse everybody wants to get up on these days. Good God. You know, no, I'm not going to go out there fucking waving a Confederate fucking flag or like a rebel goddamn flag because I know it represents really stupid racist bullshit and a really stupid old world mentality. But I don't think you should burn like every last one of them ever. You know, I've known people who own like World War II stuff that's like memorabilia. I know somebody who literally owns like a fucking SS dagger from World War II. Was it used by evil assholes? Yeah, but that thing's also a piece of fucking history. That's important to keep around. If you just erase every bit of your fucking history, then what? When this kind of bullshit rolls around again, then what do you have left to recognize it? What do you have left to remember? Oh shit, this evil fucking thing we thought we stopped before has manifested in a new form and we see it again. So stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Well, I mean, everybody on Twitter, they got up on their high horse. I got to get up on my high horse. It's what good people do. It's like, how do I put it? How do I put it? I'm the kind of person that will sit there and make fun of a Trigglypuff, but not even realize that I'm also a fucking Trigglypuff because I have fake manufactured outrage I'm conditioned to repeat from my fucking stupid ass fucking purviews of things because everybody else I'm surrounded by does. Ugh, fuck Jesus. Hate that shit. I hate that shit. I'd love to have a World War II artillery Luger. Yeah, those are actually worth a lot of money. If you find a Luger in good condition, that shit's worth a fucking load of money. And museums and historical places will buy that shit off you. But it's like, if it's like auction houses usually. So less, I should say less museums and more like, was it Rock Island Auction? I think that's the one that Ian works with from Forgotten Weapons. And then there was the other one too. I forget what the other one was named. Rock Island is the one that I remember. I heard they were mostly put up just to intimidate blacks by people like the Daughters of the Confederacy. What, the statues? Honestly, I just think that there's dumb totems to an ancient part of my country's history that was just a complete and total flop for the South. Yes, let's go and kick the shit out of the industrialized and better equipped North and then, you know, lose. No, let's not do that. King Cobra. That's like complaining that cobra and alligator exist. I got to keep up on Cobes lore. I've been lacking lately. I've been lacking lately. I heard he beat the shit out of his dad. Lugers, like many German designs in anything, were just ridiculously over-engineered. That's why a lot of stuff from that era is discontinued. It just gets over-engineered. Hey, Lenore, how you doing? Good to see you. Cobes was arrested on New Year's Eve. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard it was for beating the shit out of his dad. I don't know. He's him balding and having the long hair, he's like slowly turning into like a mixture of like John Lennon and Devin Townsend and every member of Black Sabbath all put together. Drunk Tank. Okay. Hey, what's up, Renegade? That makes sense. Public intoxication. Yeah, I heard the Tate Bros got arrested. That doesn't surprise me. Do I believe it was because of the pizza box? So basically the theories that have been circulating is that because Andrew Tate was engaged in a dumb Twitter argument with Greta Thunberg, him posting about all of his riches and all this dumb, stupid, materialistic fucking nonsense that he's accumulated over the years is what got him caught, because in one of the pictures he's posed or looking like this or whatever, and there's like a pizza box in the foreground and it's from a Romanian specific chain of pizza places, and that's how they caught him. But I don't believe that. I mean, it's a great story, but that's so stupid and unlikely. Realistically, they had to have had some intel on him. They had to have some, like, actual insight of, like, okay, you know what, we know where this guy's located roughly. There's probably, like, geotagging information in the images themselves that they probably were able to lock onto. Yeah. I also like the fact, too, though, that there is a place in Romania that has that American of a franchise name. Come to Jerry's Pizza. What? Jerry's? Jerry's. You know? Not Vlad's. Nothing like that. Vlad's Impaled Pizza. You serve it on a stick. You know? Something like that. Like I didn't expect there to be something like that. Burger-y. Like the United States of fast food. Like Jerry's. Let's hope Davi's next. Davi's career is tanked, and that's all his own fault because his music fucking sucks and he's fucking ruined it all on his own with his own idiotic behavior. I don't feel bad for him. But I hope he does get busted for something legitimately. What, though, I don't know. I mean, they've had a wealth of evidence to go against him for years, and what's happened besides a big hill of motherfucking nothing. Hmm. Blocking on these apps doesn't do fucking anything. People are so fucking stupid. They're so fucking stupid. It's like unbelievable. You realize, like, when you think of like how stupid the average person is, I think they say, and realize that most people are even more stupid than that, it just like life becomes so fucking entertaining. Vlad's Pizza. I want to start a chain called Vlad's Pizza. I wonder if Davi will ever face the consequences for what he did. Probably not. To the extent that he should. I don't think he will. I really don't. I think he'll face maybe some consequences if he gets busted. Like, it seems to be like the only way to bust these guys is get them either wrapped up with it again by like purposely setting them up, like the way that fucking what's they did on like To Catch a Predator, or what they did to like EDP 445 or whatever his name was. Or they get caught in like some crypto bullshit. You know? Like, that's about it. Pizza for goths. See, you can make pizza for goths really easy by just not being a particularly good cook, and you just leave it in the oven for about an hour. Now, you do risk burning your house down, but you get a nice black pizza. It tastes probably like a tire. Davi has more of a chance of falling into a hole than any charges. EDP 445 should be renamed Cupcake. That's going to be his prison bitch name. I wonder if anybody's assigned him one yet. He's dying, by the way, EDP. He has like a kidney failure, like legitimately. Like he legit has kidney failure. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Really couldn't have. How did anyone take scenes seriously? It was a byproduct of its time. It was like in between like what... It was weird. It was like this pocket dimension between like emo and like alt metal, hard core metal, and like deathcore. It was just like this vacuum, and then somehow like rave got injected in there. That I knew people that were into that when I was young, and I couldn't get it. I'm like, you're like 5 things all at once. Pick an identity. No. Okay. Well, let's see what you come up with. Okay, this is weird. Yeah, it was like an offshoot of emo, but it was like in the pocket of like all these different aesthetics, and it was I never understood it. I never understood it. It made me think like the aesthetic made me think I'm going to go buy some stuff at Spencer's, but I have no fucking clue exactly what I'm going to buy, and the only reason I'm going to Spencer's is I'm too cheap for Hot Topic. And then boom. I shouldn't have been surprised EDP445 was a cradle robber. It seems that every other YouTuber is getting caught as one, no offense. Because, you know why? Fame goes to people's heads. And it does. It goes to people's heads. a lot of people manage to just strike out. Boom! Fucking first try, they cultivate an audience for whatever the fuck reason. I think he was just like somebody who was a random YouTuber and he got a ton of fucking people watching his stuff because people thought he was funny. He seemed kind of awkward and weird. Whatever. I mean, I was aware of his stuff beforehand. And with people who have no self-control, I mean, it's like any addiction, really. Look at Boogie. He's a great example. What is Boogie's problem? He can't stop consuming. He can't stop engaging in risky behavior. In fact, when I go to therapy sessions every so often, like think 90 days, I have to do a reevaluation to see whether or not I should be continuing therapy. And one of the criterions that I have to give like a 1 to 4 answer on a scale is do you engage in risky behavior? You know, 1 being like never, 2 being like sometimes, whatever. But what they mean by risky behavior is, do you just constantly fucking take stupid ass risks that blow up in your face over and over and over again? And that's what a lot of these people do. That's what a lot of these people do. They just consume and consume and consume and you consume risk until it just blows up in their fucking face. Look at what fucking, like again, what they said with Boogie, look what he did with the crypto thing. Guys, I'm rich. No, you're not. And then what happened? A fucking year later, guys, I'm going to have to fucking sell my house because I fucking took my whole life savings and threw it in the crypto market. And there were some people surprised by this. I'm like, the dude was a fucking food addict. He nearly ate himself to death until he was literally medically forced to stop fucking eating. And then what happened? He became a video game addict and started buying fucking thousands of dollars of stupid shit because he was Le Fat Funny Man on fucking YouTube. People started feeding his addictions. And then when he got into the crypto thing, what did he think he did? He thought he hit it fucking big. And he blew it all because any fucking person with a functioning brain can figure out, hey, everything in there is a goddamn scam and it's not worth putting your money in it. You know, EDP represents the entire Eagles fan base. Jesse, I haven't seen you in a minute. Jesse is like some of the funniest like sports humor. Do you still run that Twitter? Because like your Twitter was the first Twitter I ever saw where it's just like, holy shit, I've never seen somebody tweet this much. He had like 30,000 tweets. Or some crazy number like that when I first became aware of your stuff. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what do you do? Like, just sit around and tweet all day? And then I look at, like, his tweets and replies, and I'm like, yep. I'm rarely on Twitter anymore. Twitter is dog shit. Okay. I remember you would basically just shit on constantly the sports sphere in Twitter, and it was hilarious to me. I don't even give a fuck about sports, really. Like, that's not my thing. I like, you know, people want to be into it, they can. That's not a problem. But I was like, what does this guy do? Just live in here? I go tweets and replies, and he had like replies for like 30 seconds before. Like, holy shit. Burn Twitter to the ground. I don't care for Twitter. I don't really care for a lot of social media. I have to use it because of what I do here and with other stuff that I'm trying to do. But to be honest, I'm kind of sick of it and what it's cultivated in human beings and what it's done to human beings. It's made us selfish. It's made us angry. It's made us angsty. Jaron Lanier is a great writer. He's got a good book called 10 Reasons to Delete Your Social Media Now, or 10 Arguments to Delete Your Social Media Now. It's a great book to read. It goes into some really interesting things I'd never really considered before. One being the fact that there were people working at Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well, because Instagram is like a Facebook byproduct nowadays. And they did sociological study on groups of users and figured out how basically to keep you like doom scrolling your phone just over and over and over again. And it's basically exploiting the same psychological feedback loop that addiction is fueled by. So it's like when you zone out and you're like, oh shit, I've just been like fucking off in my phone for like 30 seconds. Where did the world go? That is literally that mechanism in your brain being exploited. Like they figured out how to do it. That was a pretty good argument for me to get off social media. Like, whoa, okay. That's not cool, because I've already had problems with addiction. I don't need to replace one for another. I'm already addicted to pain, trauma, and being a piece of shit as much as I am. I don't need to fucking have anything more thrown in the mix. That writer is correct. Yeah, Jaron Lanier is an interesting person. He's not just a writer, he literally invented VR. Like what people do with, like, put the goggles on, dumb bullshit. Like, he invented that back in the 70s or 80s. And he works with a lot of companies now doing that. If you look him up, you'll know exactly who he is. Very spiritual looking fellow. He's a big, larger fellow white guy with dreadlocks. He looks like the kind of person who would have a career like this and make arguments like that. But it's not bad because he's like a humanist. He's one of the few tech Silicon Valley people that actually don't want to seemingly download us all in the Matrix or whatever. People so fed up with the world around them, they'd rather live in a computer than live in the real world, which, you know, to some degree I sort of understand. The real world sucks a bit. People out here suck a bit. They're fucking crazy, and they don't even realize how fucking crazy they are. And then they try to make you think that somehow you're crazier than them, but you're already crazy, and you know crazy for what it really is. I feel like kid behind a camera is trying to be his grandfather. I don't know who kid behind a grandfather. Oof, isn't that Lemon Party? I don't know who kid behind a camera is. I just deleted my Twitter, TBH. I've been slowly deleting all social media. I turned off one of my Facebooks. I turned off. So long story short, I had a bit of a mental breakdown last night, and it was totally, you know, self-imposed, and there was a bit of a miscommunication and whatever. And then there was another bunch of bullshit that happened that I find borderline unforgivable. And I don't know that I can ever get over it. And as a result, I ended up turning off my Facebooks. I wanted to turn off my Instagrams that I've reactivated because of what was going on. And I don't like the fact that, like, well, you can only deactivate your Instagram like once a week. Sorry. Fuck you. I'm having an emotional moment. If I want to turn this shit off, I should be allowed to turn it off anytime I want. Why do you get to police how the fuck I feel? I hate that shit. It's not your responsibility for that. You know? But anyway. You know. Did you see that Onision had a meltdown yesterday about being canceled? Well, I mean, that's his life now. That's just what he does. That doesn't surprise me. Let me guess. He's bitching about being raped. Being raped. You were raped. You were raped by a fucking 16-year-old girl you willingly stuck your dick in on your bed that your fucking infant son and daughter were sleeping in. That's rape. When you willingly fuck someone on a bed your kids are sleeping on. Or no, he fucked his foot-faced spouse on that bed and then tried to entice the other girl to do it. And then I think he banged her a couple of times in the shower willingly. And then he said it's rape. Because he got caught doing something horrifically unethical. And because it suits his bullshit narrative of innocence, it's rape. Jesus fucking Christ. I think that when he was doing the series of videos where he was like trying to do video after video after video justifying what he had done, that was the moment I realized I think this guy is like actually retarded. Like, I don't mean like he's just some retard on the internet, but I mean like he's actually like retarded, like partly mentally disabled. Because in trying to extract any logic from that, it's like you've transcended somebody who's trolling. You've transcended somebody who's being unironic. You're in the realm of, this is a person whose brain is like damaged to the point that they actually think this is something people would believe. And it's like beyond narcissism. It's beyond some cluster B nightmare train wreck. You're dealing with somebody who's actually stupid. But they don't realize like how stupid they fucking are. And the problem is they've skirted along with charm for so long because they have a ridiculously high verbal IQ for somebody of their possible IQ. Like, it's like only somebody who's like really fucking stupid would think somebody could engage in such a suspension of disbelief. And that sort of ridiculous narrative is reality. It's like you invited this fucking kid into your abode to protect them from some alleged abusive situation in their home, which turned out to be what was going on to an extent. You took advantage of this to get what you wanted, and somehow they're the ringleader here. No, you're just a shit human being. You're literally the living embodiment of what third wave fucking feminists think all men are. Or most modern feminists, because they've forgotten what the fuck it even means to be a fucking feminist, because they don't even spend enough time actually giving a shit about real women's issues instead of just shitting on men to know. I don't know. I almost kind of like want to give us a little fucking fun time and watch it. But at the same time, I don't know that it's worth it. I know that he's making another book because people have mentioned it in my Discord, but I don't know. I don't know that it's worth it because I just don't want to give any airtime to somebody like that. Who in the fuck is this? Give me a second. Where the hell is this from? Okay. This could be spam. I'm getting, I think, texted by spam. So let's see. This could be fun. I got a text from a number I do not recognize. It is quite a ways away from where I am. Quite a ways. Hi, how are you? I don't know who you are. Hi, how are you? This could be spam. I don't know. I'm Annie? I don't know Annie. Are you Anakin? Are you free today, Lisa? I'm Annie. Lisa, are you tearing me apart? This is totally a scam. I'm free. I don't know who the fuck this is. But it's not even that it's like somebody texting a wrong number. Like, this is so clearly like I've just opened the floodgates for my phone to get hit with tons of stupid bullshit now, but oh, hi, Mark. Oh, hi, doggy. Doggy, the doggo is based, though. Doggos are always based. Owners, maybe not, but doggos are always based. Some people that own dogs are just fucking disgusting pieces of shit, and they're owning dogs because they think it gives them a couple of cool points, because only good people can own dogs, right? It's one of those not safe for work bots that fish boomers for info. Yeah, that's what I think it is, but I'm not giving it anything. It's funny when you take one of those and you actually feed it like quotes from like an AI. If you have like an AI text chat bot and you just feed it shit from that, it doesn't know what to do. None of these ever do. I'm trying to find one really quick. Because it basically has an ability, like whatever they're using is like a text chat AI too. So it's like it does have an ability to like recognize that it's talking to another one, and they get like really weird replies like back and forth. Like machine learning, you know, that's kind of the quotes you got to put on that shit. That didn't work at all. Told you. Locking on these apps doesn't do a goddamn thing. Doesn't do a god. And trying to intimidate some lunatic like me doesn't work either. I'm far too down the rabbit hole. And when you push somebody like me over the edge, you really shouldn't worry about what you get, because you should have already known the whole time, you ignorant fucking idiot. Ignorant fucking... You block one, prepare for 5 more. Yeah, dude, that's what it is. And they're all from, like, Indiana. Like, when I get the calls, they're all from Indiana. It was the closest thing to India we could find. Did Stephen give Annie a fake number at a club last night? No, it's a chat bot. There's no way. Like, I've left it alone, and there's no concurrent, like... There's, like, no concurrent reply. That's pretty much the giveaway. I still don't get how these old ladies on Dr. Phil still fall for the Nigerian catfish scams. Well, yeah. Because, well, here's the thing, though. I mean, for people that are super fucking old, I mean, if you're, like, getting Alzheimer's, are you going to really understand that kind of shit? Like, the majority of people, I mean, it's so commonly well known. But... You know, you're like 90 fucking years old, and like half of your brain doesn't work anymore, and most of your pastime activities have been shitting into a fucking diaper for like the last 3 years. Like, spoof IPs and area codes. Those are so easy to set up. Those are so fucking easy to set up. That's why all of them do it. Okay, whatever. I mean, I may not have as many followers, but I don't have any assets to really sell myself with. So I'm not a living body billboard here. I get the weirdest shit sometimes from people. All right, I'll be back in just a minute. I'm thirsty as fuck. I'm not gonna be gone for like half a fucking hour. Okay, I'll be right back. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. I just need to go get something to drink because my throat's dry as a fucking desert. Told you I'm back. How many people left? 10 people. Jesus Christ. I'm kidding. There's not that many that left. Coda, come here. Coda. I know somebody you guys haven't seen in a while. Oh, she coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. You coming, you fat butthole. Get over here. Oof. You're heavy. There you go. Don't show them your butt, Jesus. Not. Look here. Look here. Look here. Need a baby. Stop showing him your fucking butthole. Jesus Christ. This is not only cats. Fucking stop. You don't need to sell your body. You can actually get a job. If you needed to. Whatever the fuck job a cat would do. You don't need to make excuses and then have other people put up with them. Yeah, she purrs loud. She likes lifting her butt when you tap her back. Ooh. Wait. Come here. Come here. Sit down. What's up? I lift my butt. Her face is derpy and adorable. She's a baby face. She doesn't want to show her face on camera. She's camera shy. No, I got a kiss. No. She reminds me of a cat on Instagram. Have you ever heard of Monkey Cat Luna? She reminds me of that one. Because you're a baby. You're a baby. You're a baby, 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 baby. Baby, baby, babe. Look at that face. Girl, look at that face. Boom, ba-doom, boom, ba-doom, boom, ba-doom. Girl, look at that face. Look at that little kitty face. Off. You turned it back on again. You gonna turn it off? She turned my mic off once when I was getting ready to stream. She just puts a peed up. No. Look at this. This could have been yours. All right, she's going to sit down. I think I'm going to move a couple of things out of the way, though, so she has an easier time sitting. Give me a second. I figured I had to, like, jerry-rig an old iPad so I can have, like, a visual output for my mixer in my music-making software. It outputs it to that. All right, what are we going to watch? Oh, yeah, that's right. I have it pulled up over here. So let me get this all ready. Let me make sure. Come on, open up. 1, 2, 3. What are you doing? Don't show your butt. Be a lady. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, let's see. Problematic. Oh my god, this video is 40 minutes long. Fuck me. Shit. Well, it's all about 1, 2. Alright, fuck it. Here we go. Why not?
Its father spread pandemonium throughout the Midwest.
And chlamydia.
Survival will thrill a nation. Its legacy is destined to change the world. Presenting Son of Beast, the world's tallest, fastest, only looping wooden roller coaster.
Deadliest.
Son of Beast, only at Kings Island.
Warning, some viewers may be too lame to enjoy the following information. Son of Beast. One of the most legendary but also polarizing roller coasters of all time. For one, it still remains the tallest and
Why is it problematic, though? We're gonna find out why it's problematic.
fastest wooden roller coaster that has ever been built to this date, and it will probably remain that way for a very long time. Watching these videos from the early 2000s, the ride looks majestic, and it was also the first modern-day wooden roller coaster to feature a vertical loop. But on the contrary, the ride was also one of the roughest roller coasters ever created.
These wooden roller coasters are always a big motherfucker to ride because they just feel like they hurt the shit out of your fucking neck and back when you're done. I've been on like one of these.
On its completion in the year 2000, the ride quickly
I admit I'm a big bitch when it comes to roller coasters. It really takes a lot of work to get me on one.
gained a reputation for just how brutal of an experience it offered due to a pattern of structural issues. And this is when the coaster was brand new. And what a shame, because Son of Beast was poised to be quite the crowd pleaser, standing at a height of 218 feet or 66.5 meters, and reaching speed.
This guy's fucking video contains Rage Against the Machine. Is it like literally public domain music to use now?
Speeds of 78.4 miles per hour or 126.2 kilometers per hour. This wooden mega roller coaster should have been extremely popular. And while it certainly attracted crowds, it left many riders unfortunately disappointed with its rough and unenjoyable experience. The ride would only operate at Kings Island for not even 9 years. In 2006, it would suffer a nearly catastrophic accident that would send 27 riders to the hospital.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And in 2012, this happened. What exactly went wrong with this wooden mega roller coaster?
Well, I don't know what they're complaining about. It looks fine now.
In this video, we will be taking an in-depth look at Son of Beast to learn about all of its problems and also what caused them. Before we get started, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting the
Lay
like
down and pet your kitty with a pocket full of fluff.
button, that would be greatly appreciated, as that helps the channel greatly against the YouTube algorithm.
I have a fear of heights like you wouldn't believe, and yet I go flying all the place.
Right, let's dig in. During the late 20th and early 21st century, a major competition was occurring amongst amusement parks all over the world, especially in the United States. Parks had the goal of introducing the latest record-breaking roller coaster to capture the attention of the masses and to attract new guests. The craze really kicked off in 1989.
Look at that mustache. Holy shit, that guy was rocking the full fucking Saddam
When Cedar
Hussein.
Point in Sandusky, Ohio introduced Magnum XL 200, the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster, and also the world's first hyper roller coaster. As defined by Cedar Fair, the parent company of Cedar Point, a hyper roller coaster is any coaster that stands over the height of 200 feet, or 61 meters. Standing at a height of 205 feet, or 62.5 meters, Magnum opened to a massive amount of height. Now, Magnum was a steel roller coaster, and with steel, it was easier to build them taller and faster due to the nature of the material. On the contrary,
Right.
wooden roller coasters require an enormous amount of wooden structure even for smaller coasters.
Yep.
So wooden coasters are typically built smaller than steel coasters because they are more complex to design, take longer to build, and also require more maintenance since wood does not last as long as steel. But the roller coaster wars would also influence wooden roller coasters. In
Cat cam.
1990, Six Flags Over Texas would introduce Texas Giant,
We
the
don't have to
world's
pay for this
tallest
one.
wooden roller coaster. Texas Giant stood at a height of 143 feet, or 43.6 meters, and absolutely dwarfed other wooden coasters. In order to build Texas Giant, over 900,000 board feet, or 2,100 cubic meters of wood was used. Only one
So that's like a whole fucking forest.
year later, in 1991, Cedar Point would introduce the next world's tallest wooden coaster, Mean Streak, a 161-foot or 49-meter tall mammoth of a wooden roller coaster. Being a larger coaster, Mean Streak required an even more impressive 1.7 million board feet or 4,000 cubic meters of lumber.
Okay, I don't care about fucking any of this. I want to know what happened to make this problematic. Oh, don't freeze. No, don't do this. Come on, go back.
Son of Beast, or SOB, would continue to operate for several years, during which it was still extremely rough. During this time,
This guy's using nothing but Rage Against the Machine in his background music. I don't know if I'm gonna get flagged for this.
Kings Island continuously made modifications by altering the structure to improve smoothness and also to create a more stable platform for track. Kings Island worked under the guidance of RV Anderson Associates Limited, or RVA, with this task. Together, work was carried out to reduce lateral movement of the structure and the resultant wear on wood components. The excess movement of the structure was creating dynamic conditions not accounted for in the design or long-term maintenance of the structure. The majority of
God, look at the corner that goes on. The fact that that's all made out of wood would make me really nervous.
modifications increased the stiffness of the structure, which was good, but also increased the load bearing on individual components. We'll get into that later.
So basically, something got overstressed, it sounds like.
In 2005, Son of Beast trains were reduced from 6 cars to 5 cars long.
And then down to 50.
Imagine this was done to lighten the load on the structure, and I'm honestly surprised this wasn't done earlier in the ride's career. Meanwhile, RCCA claimed on their website that Son of Beast could run up to 7-car trains, which would have brought the weight of a fully loaded train to 26,250 pounds.
Oh, so much lighter.
11,906 kilograms. I think they were out of their minds. On May 22nd of 2006, Cedar Fair Entertainment Company announced
That's an enormous amount of stress to put on wooden components. Jesus
that
Christ.
they had outbid competitors and intended to purchase all 5 Paramount parks for $1.24 billion US. The purchase would complete on June 30th of 2006, and Cedar Fair took responsibility and began operating all Paramount parks, including Kings Island. Only 9 days later,
Well, Carowinds was, yeah, definitely one of those, because they used to have, like, licensed properties there.
Son of
That's
Beast
all, like, Minions shit. Ugh.
would throw a massive middle finger to Cedar Fair and send 27 riders to the hospital.
Jesus.
On July 9th of 2006, an accident occurred in the Rose Bowl when a train was passing through the first lap of the Helix. While the train rode through bent number 290, a vertical member of the bent fractured and failed,
Oh.
leading the 2 other vertical members to fail as well.
Look at the way that it split it, too. It just busted it completely off.
This caused the structure in the track to sag 5 inches, or nearly 13 centimeters.
That's an enormous amount. Holy shit.
Guests on this train probably felt a large pothole, but the train completed the track and returned to the station as normal. The next train cresting the lift hill, however,
Oh, my goodness.
would not come out as unscathed. With the track sagging and structure critically weakened at bent 290, this train rode the full force of the damage, and riders most likely felt an abrupt jolt, similar to a violent car accident. Fortunately, even with the damage to the structure, the train continued through the course and made it back to the station. Ride operators quickly made note of the injured state guests were in upon the train's arrival to the station, and stopped
Probably bloody noses, bashed heads. Yeah, fuck.
the other train, which was climbing the lift hill. Riders on the stopped train were then evacuated from the lift. Had this other train not been stopped, further damage to the structure could have caused a much worse jolt for riders, or even a potential catastrophic failure. As a result of this accident, all 27 guests aboard the scathed train were taken to the hospital. Most of these injured guests reported head and neck injuries, and thankfully no guests had any life-threatening injuries.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're gonna get whiplash like a motherfucker.
All but 2 of the victims were released from the hospital that day. The ride remained closed as a further investigation took place to find the root of the problem. On July 27th of 2006, SEA Limited was requested to evaluate Son of Beast and find out how exactly the structural failure occurred.
Your fucking ride cars were extraordinarily heavy and putting a huge amount of fucking, like, singular stress pressure on a component. That's what? That's too much fucking weight. This stuff is made out of wood. I mean...
Investigation took place between July 20th...
That's why they try to make roller coasters and stuff like this out of steels, because they have the ability to withstand that much pressure.
September 28th of that year, in close coordination with the Ohio Department of Agriculture, as well as Cedar Fair and Kings Island. There was a fear that problems from the original design, combined with modifications made to the structure over time, created a much larger problem that would make it unsafe to ever reopen Son of Beast. SEA would report back many findings. One was that there were no deficiencies in the physical properties of the failed wooden members. In fact, it was
wooden members.
found that the southern yellow pine was within or above industry strength specifications. Instead, it was determined that the structure was improperly designed and caused certain members to experience forces that were beyond the load specifications of the southern yellow pine used on the ride. Additionally, the work that Kings Island and RVA had done to increase the stiffness of the structure unfortunately further
This is adorable. Hang on.
concentrated loads on these individual members. Thus, the improvements that were made increased the vulnerability of an already existing design deficiency.
Are you
In the case
watching?
of the accident,
I'm
the original
watching.
vertical member that failed was loaded above its design limit due to an arrangement issue with other supporting members.
There you
Without
go.
using too many physics terms, too much horizontal force was placed on the specific vertical member.
There you
and
go.
Not enough horizontal support was actually
Yes, it is.
present at this piece to absorb the pressure.
I've
Now,
heard of Tom Morello's other band, but I've never listened to it.
even though the design capacity of this vertical member had always been exceeded during its service life, a failure had not
she's
occurred
touching
yet
the screen.
due to a factor
Hold
of
on.
safety built into the design specifications. This means the structure was essentially over-designed to help avoid a failure. In order for the member to actually fail, the ultimate strength of the wood member had to be exceeded, meaning more force would have to be applied to that member than it could physically withstand. And the combination of structural changes in specific weather, service, or loading conditions made that happen on July 9th of 2006. Luckily, the design deficiency that caused the failure was local to just the surrounding area of bend 290. It was determined that the deficiency
Jesus Christ, look at how much fucking damage the wood got.
could be eliminated with the addition of specific structural
Uh-oh.
components. However, after a full structural evaluation of the entire
Are you a
ride,
CAD
the same
engineer?
design deficiency was found at another 50 locations within the structure.
Good God.
These locations would also need to be corrected with the same
Again, that's because it was made of fucking wood. Okay, so yeah, that's a mess. That's an absolute mess. Damn. Yeah, I've never trusted wood. I've never trusted wood roller coasters because of that. Because they're just fucking dangerous seeming. They just feel rickety. They just feel like they're gonna fall the fuck apart. A city built on a toxic dump? Sounds like Vegas. Oh no, a city that's built on a toxic dump, not an actual one. Or Toronto.
Love Canal environmental disaster. The city built
The Love Canal environmental disaster. This sounds more like it's about syphilis.
on toxic waste. Many of us have started a project and not been able to finish it.
Oh
To
yeah.
most, this is a mere annoyance. But for the residents of Love Canal, what began as a failed ambition turned into arguably the worst environmental tragedy in the U.S. In 1890, William T. Love was struck with a brilliant idea. He wanted to develop
William T. Love
a thriving
and his Love Canal.
community in Niagara Falls, New York, but he needed to find a way to generate electricity in the area. Because of the proximity to Niagara River, he formulated a plan. Build a canal that connected Lake Ontario with the Niagara River by digging around the falls. After a few attempts to make his vision a reality, Love eventually ran out of funds, and all that was left of his ambition was a 60 feet wide by 3,000 feet long ditch. Despite the ditch not causing any problems,
60
governments
feet
are not
wide,
eager to
baby.
let any good land just sit there. And so, in the 1920s, the area began to be used as a municipal and industrial dump site. The disposed materials were fairly innocuous, and the site continued to be used as a dumping ground for everyday trash up into the 1940s. But then, something much more sinister came into the picture. In the early 1940s, the Hooker Chemical Company purchased the Love Canal and used it as a dump site for chemical byproducts.
Chemicals they used in the production of hookers.
Hooker Chemical maintained several factories that dealt with
Mostly
perfumes,
cigarettes
dyes,
and
synthetic
absentee
resins.
fathers.
Many of the resulting chemical byproducts were caustic and could potentially cause great harm if someone came into direct contact with them. However,
They were barrels
factories
of
had to
pussy
keep up
juice.
with demand, so Hooker kept pumping out more products, which produced more and
What?
more
What are you
toxic
doing?
waste.
Being a
Finally,
bear.
after about 10 years,
They don't know. There's a cat
19,800
down
tons
here.
of toxic waste had been buried just 25 feet under the ground in the Love Canal. The site was filled with chemicals only contained by the walls of their steel drum prisons.
Jesus
When
fuck.
the dump site was established, the canal had been drained and lined with clay to protect against leakage. But, as we now know, those safety measures were far from adequate.
Yeah,
In
because of
1953,
rusting.
the Hooker Company decided they had no more use for the dumping ground. So they sealed it with more clay and sold it to the Niagara Falls School District for a price of $1. Perhaps, in retrospect, the low selling price should have been seen as a warning. Well, that, and the fact that the Hooker Company made the school board sign an agreement that said it was potentially dangerous to build on the dump site and that they could not hold them accountable for any damage that might arise from the buried waste.
Or the buried hookers.
It was a done deal. The school board built a school
Well, they
on
built
the
a whole school to educate their hookers.
land and promptly sold the surrounding area to a housing project. Despite a warning from
Of
the
course.
leading architect who mentioned it would be poor policy to build in the area since it was unknown how much waste product was still present in the ground.
Has that ever stopped any of these kind of people before? No. If I remember correctly, there was a whole fucking, like, neighborhood that was built in this really dusty sort of, like, back road, like dirt roads. And they sprayed it down with this fucking toxic to human chemicals because the chemical kept the dust from going everywhere. We are a stupid
The building
fucking
of the city
species.
went forward.
If not for
Right
warning
away,
labels, people
things
would
started to go
routinely
wrong.
drink bug spray.
During construction, workers broke holes in the clay lining of the canal to run sewer lines for the town. The clay lining, as a reminder, was there to protect against any chemical leaks that might escape their drums and try to make their way into the soil and water.
And balls.
as if the damage to the clay wasn't enough, some of the barrels themselves were damaged. While this did cause some issues during construction, such as strong chemical fumes and leakage, the city didn't seem
Butt
concerned.
fumes.
The school building was simply relocated
Do you
85
mind?
feet north, and everyone treated it as a non-issue. The school opened its doors in 1955. By this point, 800 families had moved into the area and settled into houses adjacent to the canal. 400 children attended the school, and several other schools were built to accommodate the growing community. Love Canal was made up of hard-working middle-class families who were looking to settle down in what they thought would be a thriving community. But those dreams didn't last long.
Like this
Eager to
guy's
keep
man
building,
boobs.
the school district sold off the remaining
Boobs.
land and private developers built more homes.
For more moobs.
Later that year, a 25-foot area completely
Yeah, there's shitloads of coal ash buried underground in North Carolina. It's fucking nuts. Duke Power did not give a fucking shit about that.
disintegrated, exposing several toxic chemical drums, which were filled with water during rainstorms. Puddles formed all around town, and many local children enjoyed playing in them.
Oh no, you got little mutant kids now.
None of the residents were aware of what lay underneath the ground, but it was hard.
Sure, if you have a customer service video you want to link, you can go ahead and I'll pick it up in the chat.
Hard to miss the chemical burns that covered the hands and faces of their children after they had been playing outside.
Oh, Jesus, lovely. Come to Chernobyl Hills housing development.
Not only had the weather exposed and distributed the chemicals, but remember that the city of Niagara Falls had broken holes in the clay layer when constructing the sewer lines for Love Canal. They disrupted the
Chelsea.
layer that was supposed to protect the community, but also removed some of the clay to use as filler on the nearby 93rd Street School. Because of this, rainwater was able to push chemicals through the gaps without resistance, and toxins began to infiltrate the community. The water table level of Love Canal frequently yo-yoed, and chemicals in the soil were able to combine
Number 15, yo-yo foot lettuce.
with the water to create what's known as leachate, which began to make its way directly into people's homes.
It made a great sauce to put with your fries.
Residents came home to find toxic pools in their basements.
Fuck me, look at all that. It looks like battery acid burns.
Plants and flowers and
You ever seen that, like where a battery's like terminal just ruptures and like an old TV remote and gets everywhere? That's what that shit looked like. Jesus.
gardens lining the streets began to rot and die. If there was visible water, it was contaminated with chemicals. You could even see steel drums poking out of the earth in some areas.
Like this giant fucking ass train car sized drum.
The air smelled rotten, with a distinct chemical smell. The visuals were bad enough, but it was about...
Are we watching about the Silent Hill city? This is actually a different city. So this city was basically this like little neighborhood housing area was built on the remains of an old chemical plant, and these dumb motherfuckers thought it was a great idea to just bury all the toxic chemicals that was in the plant in barrels underneath just regular ground. They didn't think that any erosion would happen. They didn't think that weathering would ever occur.
To get worse. As the years passed, Love Canal residents began to experience
Coda,
health
are you
problems.
following the mouse? Wait a minute. Are you following the mouse? Oh, I didn't realize that you guys couldn't see what I was watching because I'm an idiot. But anyway, here we go. Where are you? Coda. Wait, where is it? Coda. You were following there. Are you following? She's following the mouse. Oh. Hey everybody, it's me. Oh, I'm back. Oh. It's like a laser pointer. Oh. It's a little mean, but it's cute.
And many children were born with health defects. But at the time,
They were born with multiple butts.
environmental and health consequences of waste chemicals were not well known. During the early 1970s, there were many cases of exposed drums and leaking chemicals in Love Canal. But the Niagara County Health Department simply ordered leaks to be covered with soil. Unsurprisingly, that action was not effective. However, Love Canal was yet to be exposed to the world, as many other environmental disasters were just beginning to gain international traction. In 1976, an investigator hired by the city noted toxic chemical residues in the air and in the sump pumps of homes at the canal's southern end.
The whole fucking place was melting from the ground up. You needed that to tell something was wrong?
However, the city's only response was to place window fans in homes with some of the highest chemical residue levels.
Yeah, that'll do it.
It wasn't until the fall of 1976 that the leaks were even mentioned in any news publication, and health departments were slow to get any chemical testing done. However, once the initial testing was complete, people's fears were confirmed. Several chemicals found at the site, including benzene and chloroform, can cause severe conditions, including leukemia. In 1977,
I don't know, depending on your use,
experienced
chloroform is a
heavy
useful
snowfall, which raised the water table level. As a result, more contaminants mixed with the groundwater. And finally, the state departments of Health and Environmental Conservation began studying the air, soil, and water. The following year, they began to run blood tests on residents. 97% of residents had traces of 1,2,4-trichlorobenzene in their blood. Benzene affects the cells in the human body, causing cancer and making it difficult for your body to mount any kind of immune defense. Traces of several other chemicals were also found in the samples. These chemicals, often used in agriculture, are carcinogenic
a computer baby.
and can cause liver and kidney problems,
Kidney
headaches,
problems.
and blood disorders.
I would never want that to happen
July
to you.
of 1978, the health department announced that 81 different chemicals were polluting the homes in Love Canal. It was discovered that 200 tons of 2,4,5-trichlorylphenol, which is used as a fungicide and pesticide, were buried.
Ooh, we put the fun in fungicide.
It is a compound related to dioxin, responsible for many diseases, including significant reproductive and developmental problems.
Oh,
a medical survey soon found that
hello.
7 out of 10 homes in Love Canal showed evidence of chemical leakage, and 75% of residents had increased health risk.
Jesus Christ.
Several of the residents had already fallen sick with serious illnesses, in an alarmingly high rate of...
I like how any photo from the 70s through the 90s is automatically a liminal space photo.
Of babies in the community were
No matter
born with
what.
birth defects. During this time, the miscarriage rate in Love Canal went up by 300%.
Woof.
The women who lived closest to the dump site were at the greatest risk of having miscarriages. If a pregnancy made it to term, the rates of crib deaths were also high. The children who lived had various health conditions, such as webbed feet, 3 rows of teeth, deafness, and damaged kidneys or lungs.
Jesus Christ. So I guess maybe some of them sci-fi movies from the 50s about what radiation would do to you weren't too inaccurate, but it just wasn't radiation. It was whatever the fuck this nasty trioxin fucking nasty shit is, whatever fucking made the tar man, I guess.
It was also found that most children born in Love Canal had lower birth weights and more health and developmental issues than children born elsewhere.
Guess I was
in
born
August,
there.
The state health commissioner declared a state of emergency at Love Canal. An evacuation order was made for the families in the first 2 rings of houses near the canal.
There's an emergency evacuation. I mean, I should say ejaculation at Love Canal.
On August 7, President Jimmy Carter declared Love Canal to be in a national state of emergency. Shortly after,
Well, that's nice, Jimmy. Go do something useful like stop being president.
New York Governor Hugh L. Carey visited the community and announced the evacuation of the 239 families living closest to the canal. In October 1978, work began on a chemical drainage system, but residents were angry. Calls grew to evacuate the entire community. On December 11, picketers arrived at the work site demanding answers and safety. Their leader was a young mother and Love Canal resident named Lois Gibbs. Gibbs and other protesters were briefly arrested before having all charges dropped. This began several years of activism for Love Canal residents.
I love how the first thing that people do is arrest people who have a right to protest when it's not even something that's like controversial even. It's, why are you guys gathering in protest? Because this plant turned our town into a toxic waste dump. We might as well be living in fucking Silent Hill.
For many years, the government and the Hooker Chemical Company downplayed the severity of the situation, while residents grew increasingly desperate.
Love Canal
but the
loves
families
hookers.
Closest to the dump site had to continue living in homes.
It was a
filled with
hooker chemical
noxious
plant.
Substances.
Oh, I
In
played them.
February of 1979, the evacuation radius was increased to 6 blocks.
Ooh, look at that retro
Meanwhile,
bus.
the
I
other
want one of
residents
those.
were still stuck with severe medical conditions in their homes. None of them could afford to move without financial support, as all of their homes had become worthless. In May of 1980, the Environmental Protection Agency produced a study that showed that Love Canal residents may have chromosome damage due to the chemicals.
Oh.
Although the study was eventually refuted, it renewed anger in residents. On May 19th, residents held 2 Environmental Protection Agency officials hostage in the Love Canal Homeowners Associate office and demanded the entire population of Love Canal be evacuated. Finally, President Carter declared a second state of federal emergency at Love Canal and ordered the evacuation of all 728 families in the 50-block radius of the canal. Eventually, President...
Well, fuck would it take this much for you to realize that this nasty lake of fucking toxic mucus is your
Carter
problem?
signed a $20
Like,
million
what the fuck?
state federal aid package for Love Canal. The government agreed to purchase 550 homes,
cops on the
and
payroll,
all
that's
but
usually how it is.
76 sold. Over the next few years, the government destroyed all 227 homes closest to the canal. In 1982, the concentration of dioxin in the canal was 100,000 times stronger than the level where it begins to be toxic in animals.
Good
Over
God.
the following years, cleanup efforts continued. An Occidental Chemical Corporation, the company that purchased the Hooker Company, eventually settled with the residents in 1984. They offered a $20 million lump sum payment along with a $1 million medical trust fund.
And this cat.
Love Canal was a horrific eye-opener to the dangers involved in chemical disposal and the impact that improper use and dumping can have on humans and the surrounding environment.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Let's watch something that's like not as fucked up, I guess. It's like, I think it's not. Let's watch this. This is a little less fucked up. David Miscavige has been found. Oh, have you guys heard about this? Scientology has been basically like Waco'd over the last like 17 hours. So this loony fuck you'll see on your screen here in a minute, this guy is a guy that's actually being covered by Wayne Static's face. And we put him up on a thumbnail. This guy is actually the guy who heads up Scientology. He's getting like pursued by the feds right now, And he's basically been like missing and like hiding out warrants for like 2 or 3 days. His wife has been missing for years, and they recently, I think, found her. And there are basically cops cordoned off at a lot of their facilities. I don't want to watch somebody's 20-minute video about it, but it's been basically, if you're interested in like cults and stuff like that, it's been a pretty interesting development. Like the biggest one out there is getting like federally butt-fucked right now. I think it has something to do with him money laundering, which is weird that he would even feel the need to do that, because they already have. They already have like tax-exempt status. That was one of their big claims to fame when they got that.
Good evening.
Oof.
Hi. What are you yelling at? What are you scramming at? Are you scramming?
Good evening. Fried enough to eat today? Boy, I'll assist. Well, that's great. Would you care for some ham or beef? A little both, I think. All right.
Ugh. Coda. Don't go that way. There's nothing over there.
What grade are you in at school?
Why are you freaking out?
Have you decided what dessert you're going to have?
I do a sniff. You a sniff. A sniff.
Fucking oblivion.
Do you like hot fudge sundaes?
All right, let's go.
Do you like hot fudge sundaes?
Ah!
All right.
If your guest's plate looks like this, don't meet the guest requests. Take their tender piece of meat, discard in the wastebasket immediately. Immediately.
All right.
Like a half-inch slice
Hey,
of
get out of
that
there.
please?
No wonder my sound was getting all weird.
I'd be glad to carve you that. Thinner slices are more tender, though. Would that be all right? You can always come back up for more.
Okay.
Right, give me 1 second. I gotta be right back. Oof. I gotta let her. I'm so replaceable. All men are replaceable. They're only there temporarily anyway, so who gives a shit? Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, she's sitting on the cables.
At other buffet-style restaurants, guests often feel welcome and appreciated. At Old Country Buffet, we work hard to make sure our guests feel on their own. Once they've paid for the meal, no one pays much attention to them.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Beef?
Ham, please.
That sounds so gross. Hey, Patrick. Good to see you. Patrick's an IRL friend of mine. Fucking Oblivion music. Why this fucking sound? That looks really unappetizing. That was a 2-minute video that did not feel like it was 2 minutes long. It felt like so much longer. Let me see something. Ugh, what the fuck?
25. Wow, free. That's my. Wow, free. That's my best score yet.
Hey, Chuck, you having fun?
No.
No.
Jesus.
Well, you know, games and rides are that's part of the guest experience.
25 to 30% of our sales comes from the glass room. That means you fuck balls. And remember, every guest art. And our guests always come. Let's little game room expectations. No, not all the guests with a smile and a big hump. By demonstrating the games, you are the director of frustration. If you're not displaying the shift properly, be sure to wipe your ass. Remember, these operations are the key to being clean. Oxen aim and score. Oxen. Wow. Oh.
Alright, enough. I get sick and tired of those. I like when they make new sentences out of them, but when they do the fucking reverse shit.
Are you tired of hot, sticky Steven? Are you fed up with your flipping pillows? Some nights you're on fire. In Chillo, the amazing new.
I know somebody who's never going to be tired of that. To the detriment of their entire life.
Pillow head that transforms your pillow into fire. Look, pillows suck, but Chillos are cool. The secret
Pillows suck, but Chillos are cool.
He's hot. Chillo was customized to cradle you in fire. Even your room feels like a cool oasis. You'll feel like you're in a desert. Watch. These graphic images show knitters. Chillo fits.
Wow, come on, bro.
When I suffer from a migraine, I usually use crack. But that makes me feel better.
Every night I used to wake up in a puddle of cum. Really helped spread that cum around. Now I feel cool.
Cool store. Pro. Chillo with headaches, migraines, backaches, and even throbbing aching feet. Frigid ice packs rock. They're cool. Look again. Chillo's cooler. Now order the amazing Chillo for the special TV price of just $99.99. But
holy shit, yeah, it's
call in the next 10 minutes and we'll send you sex free.
This is what my stream is. We watch random shit.
$12.99. But wait, call in the next 99 minutes and we'll send you a separate prostitute free. So call now. Introducing throbbing aching feet. $99.99. Do you love butt sex? Do you love
We already watched this one, but this guy's ones are funny too. Oh, these are way old. I want a short one. Does he make shorts? No. Okay. All right. Or something else. Because these get old fast. Ugh. It feels rough. All right, enjoy your destiny. Oh, this is a classic.
Did you wash the dishes?
I thought you wanted to do that.
You were wrong. Did you wash the dishes?
I thought you wanted to do that.
You were wrong.
You were wrong.
I didn't just splatter paint, I was my paint. I didn't just splatter paint, I was my paint.
Well,
You ready? Give us a 30-second time. Here we go. So what's the deal here? There's a contest to stomp, and how are you measuring who does the best stomping?
And whoever stomps the most shoes wins an overnight stay, but it's not the only thing you can do.
The measuring cups are down below, right?
Measuring cups are down below.
All right. And if you win, you get to stay at Chateau Milan. And what else do you have going on here?
Well, if Great Stomping Point your thing, you can come and spend the day listening to live music, eating international foods, having wine tours and tastings, vineyard tours, seminars, arts and crafts. It's a lot of fun, a whole day. Stop.
I can't breathe.
Unfortunately, I think this lady got really hurt from doing this. Ow. Her fall triggered her repressed memories as a seal in a past life. You think? Oh. Ouch. So what happens when you kick an ET in the nuts? Ow, ow, ow. Ow.
Maggie.
Aww. Oh, you baby. You baby. What's this dog's SoundCloud? Exactly. All doggos are inherently SoundCloud rappers. Let's see, what else can we look at? Corey Feldman gets detained at the border. Border security, Canada's front lines. Oh, believe me, the only thing that we want to ship up your way is immigrants. Thank you for being our northern dumping ground. We're America. You're useless for any other purpose. Prove yourself. Stop being so fucking irritating. What the fuck? Ah! Hello. Why? Why did I click on this? Oh, this is from... Okay, I don't know why I watched this. This is weird, even for my standards. That looked like the guy from fucking Blade Runner. He looked like Rutger Hauer, but just a little gayer.
Okay, take a little garlic. We can be professional and take the core out. But I'm a home cook now, not a professional cook. Okay, take a little garlic. We could be professional and take the core out. But I'm a home cook now, not a professional cook.
I want to be able to cook stuff that fast.
But I'm a home cook now, not a professional cook.
Oh, ew. Speaking of food.
Hello, everybody.
I love this kid. This kid is a video creator that I watch whenever I need to be cheered up.
This is Running on Empty Food Review. Well, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone watching. Welcome.
Like, if it ever turned out that aliens were real, I would 100% believe that this kid is an alien, and he's just been living among humanity for a few years now, reviewing our fast food because he legitimately finds it interesting.
Welcome one and all to this newest edition of the Running on Empty Food Review Series.
He has such fancy taste in suits, too.
Thanks for checking in. So, you ever wake up one of those days?
Just one of those days.
Your alarm just goes off. You're just opening your eyes. And the first thing that you think, the very first thought of the day that enters your mind, God, I hate pizza crusts. I wish we could live in a world where pizza crusts never existed. Oh, I know. There's a lot of us out there that think that.
You're not ours.
Papa John's knows that too. Alright, honestly, I'm not one of those people, but I would just have to assume that there are people like that out there.
Those Nazis.
And if you are one of those people, then this is right up your alley. Because Papa John's, they understand. So they have you in mind when they released their new Papa Bowls. Okay? They describe this as crustless pizza. So those crusts, forget about them. They're never going to be in your life again, provided you only eat the Papa Bowls from Papa John's from now on.
He's like so proper.
These as pizza toppings in a bowl, and there's 3 different types. And the one that's gotten the most interest is the Italian meat trio. So here's what it is. You've got a plastic
That sounds like the Super Hornio brothers.
bowl, and inside of the bowl is pepperoni, sausage,
Schnauzage.
meatballs, green peppers, onions, tomato,
These sound like System of a Down lyrics.
and pizza, and Alfredo sauce, along with cheese and Italian seasoning. And they say, all right, you've got it now in a bowl.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, Papa John's can do pretty good pizza. It's my preferred pizza, but when they do like specialty stuff like this, they tend to fuck it up. Wendy's, oof.
So
I don't
this
even
is
know
the
that I want to go
revolution.
there.
This is what pizza is going to be now. No more of that pesky crust to ever worry about. Price for this is $8 for one Papa bowl, they say, and it should note that one of these Papa bowls has 880 calories in it.
Oof, a little steep.
So, when I was researching these, I noticed immediately that there has been an extraordinary amount of division directed toward these items online. And so far, just to tell it like it is, the reactions toward
Unless
these
it holds you
items
back.
have been overwhelmingly negative.
You can hold anything you
Now,
want.
I'm
man.
going to go into this with an open mind, and we're going to see. But that just needs to be said right off the bat. I'll tell you
Love
one
when
thing that
people fuck with
confuses me a little bit
no
about
idea
this,
what
and
they're
then we're just going to
fucking
get right into it. I'll show you the product, try it out, and we're just going to honestly assess this and see if it's any good or not. The thing that confuses me is they describe this again as crustless pizza in a bowl. So obviously there's going to be no pizza crust. But the thing that I have difficulty discerning, is there any sort of base to the pizza, right? So is there still going to be dough at the bottom, or is it just the sauce and the toppings with no pizza dough involved whatsoever, no sort of bread, none of that, and it's just the toppings in a plastic feeding dish? And I have no idea. I've looked, it seems like, I don't know, some people get certain things. So that's one thing that I'm personally...
I do actually remember that they did have a shortage of Popeyes and KFC had a chicken shortage. I think because they came from the same supplier, right?
Definitely curious about. So anyway, I think I mentioned price for this $8, and it's got again 880 calories. And I mention that because some people are looking at this and they think, oh, maybe this is like a health-conscious item, and it doesn't seem to me like that's how it's being marketed. But again, we'll find out, and I want to find out, is there any dough or base or any of that involved at all? So we're going to find out. All right, they put it in this box right here. And inside the box, they give you cutlery, because you have to eat it with cutlery. So they give you a little plastic knife and fork, which is good. It's convenient. And then inside the box is another box. And I guess
It's amazing what
do,
people post when they don't
trying
know
to think
you're in
the
their
best way to
actual
eat this.
account.
I guess I'll just eat it like this.
It's amazing
I'll
that
put
they
this
think
off
they
to
can
the
get
side.
away
I
with
have a plate and everything right here, but I think I'll just eat it out of the
Oh,
dish.
when he looks like Dutch Schultz turned a new leaf and became a food
it's still
reviewer.
really hot. This thing stays warm quite a bit. So it comes in that, and then you slide it out, and let's take a look.
That just doesn't really look great.
The Papa Bowl.
There's a thumbnail for you.
Here's what it is. It's a plastic dish with...
That just looks
From what I
gross.
can discern, I don't think there's any base, but you can see the pepperoni.
It just looks like you threw all the essential
oil
components
there.
for a pizza and then just said, fuck it, bake it.
Kinda
That's
over that
gross.
corner.
That's all like congealed on the side of the plastic. That's gross. It looks so greasy and wet.
You know, I don't know. Look, I don't want to judge a book by its cover. All right?
I do.
But
it looks like frozen
I'll preface this
lasagna,
by
yeah.
saying that, it might be delicious. It might be quite good. Based on what I see,
I like his
right in front of me,
tablecloth.
and based on what I smell, because it's very potent in terms of the scent.
Very pungent.
It doesn't smell good at all. I'll say that. It smells.
It's very pungent.
It smells bad. I'll tell you that right now.
Burns the
It's
nostrils.
just not an appetizing. I would describe it more as an odor as opposed to a scent. And looking at it. All right, fine. You know, I'm just going to get it out of my system, and I'm just going to say it. Just based on what I see, I imagine this being like slop that's poured into a feeding trough, and you have like a bunch of hogs lined up, and they're all just eating it. That's just the imagery. When I look down and I see this, and the scent that this emanates as well, which, like I said, is not good, not pleasant. Certainly not something that you really that would really get your appetite worked up. I can't help but have that imagery.
Getting killed.
Either way,
too.
Sure, it doesn't look that good, and it doesn't smell that good, but maybe it tastes good. So we will find out. We're just going to try it out. I'll let you know what it tastes like. Definitely need a knife and fork to consume it, so have it right here. Lately I've been editing out the eating segments, but I think it's important to discern how easy it is to consume this, so I'm just going to keep this all in. And let's try it out. Can't judge a book by its cover, right? So let's try it out.
What is that guy's name? David Byrne from Talking Heads? That's what he kind of reminds me of, especially with the suit.
What is this one? The Italian meat trio Papa Bowl from Papa John's going in.
It just looks like fucking gross slop. Nom 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 nom. This is like awkward silence I love about this. What the fuck?
Pretending to feed you.
Why?
Also, while just giving a close-up.
What the fuck? And you may find yourself in a shotgun shack with this pizza snack. Letting the crust go by, this pizza really looks gross. And you may ask yourself, why does that look so gross? I got a pizza that's better than that. I legitimately like the band. If you couldn't tell. It's so awkward, but that's what makes it wholesome. He looks like a character that would be in Twin Peaks.
So, here's what I can discern from. Alright, here's what I can...
And this is still what he would do if he was in Twin Peaks.
There is definitely not any sort of base. So, at least what I got, there is no dough or any of that involved whatsoever. These are just... They took the sauce and the toppings and dumped it into a plastic bowl, and that's what it is.
That's gross. It's like, well, then what makes it... It looks like it's made out of dough, though. So what the fuck is that?
So, you can see...
Feed me!
Close up. That's what it kind of looks like.
Oh, that's so fucking nasty. Like, it's...
Kind of eating it. That's the cross section. And, I understand if you have some serious, let's say, health concerns, and you just can't eat any of the pizza whatsoever, and you can't have any any sort of
Oh, that's so
bread or
surprising.
dough or any
Already
of that.
whoring yourself out, I see.
That's the one circumstance where I can understand that this might be one of those
Again,
cases where
being
if you
into
look
your
at it that
accounts.
way, all right, something is perhaps better than nothing. So but that is the only circumstance that I could understand
I'll wind up
someone
on a bee later.
really willingly eating this. In any other
I'll wind up on
circumstance,
Twitter later too.
I cannot find any justifiable reason for getting this. And I am very thankful that along with this, I also ordered a pizza. Because
Because I want something
this
good.
thing is going right in the trash after the camera goes off. It's gross. That's the only way I could really describe it. You have certain things that, let's say we break it down by component. It might taste alright, component by component. But when you blend it all together,
Suck
certain
my
things
dick.
just don't really turn out the way you had hoped. And I think that's common sense stuff. It's like a lot of the ingredients in and of themselves might be alright, but then when it all just comes together, it just doesn't really work. And this is one of those cases. Now, like I said, the thing is still really fresh, really hot, but it's got this, this gross... Sorry, there I needed a sip. It's got this gross sliminess to it.
Yeah, it looks like
And
it's
like
wet.
I eat it, and like I said, everything is just really slimy. You've got all this stuff at the bottom that just seems really undercooked, in my opinion. You've got the tomato sauce that's just kind of there. You've got, alright, the pepperoni. The pepperoni and the meatballs, I would say, on this are the most flavorful things. And both of them pack a little bit of a spicy punch. But aside from that, alright, I eat this. It's really slimy, it's really soggy, it's got this horribly unpleasant odor to it. You've got these undercooked vegetables essentially at the bottom that just texturally, taste-wise, it's just wrong. That's the only way I could really describe it. It's extremely, extremely salty. I would have to imagine that the sodium level in this is absolutely off the charts, which is something that should be mentioned, obviously, if you're trying to get this as a very health-conscious choice. That's something to be aware of.
That's fucking gross. This whole thing looks gross. Oh, there's more gross stuff from Papa John's. Ew, that looks like it's moldy. The worst Wendy's item I've ever had. Let's try that one.
Hello, everyone. This is Running on Empty Food Review. Well, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone watching. Welcome one and all to this newest edition of the Running on Empty Food Review series. I'm your host, the Report of the Week. Thanks for checking in.
That's a nice tie.
So let's get right into things. How about it?
It looks like a kind of like
Wendy's
a cathedral.
Has a new release, because obviously that's never happened before, ever. But Wendy's does have a new release this time around. Now, I'll admit, a lot of places try this, and the results usually wind up being mixed. And I just preface that purely based on experience. Now, every now and then the idea will come along, let's have an Italian-themed sandwich. And I think you might have even seen that at Wendy's before. I know a year ago Burger King had done that, and other places, you know, do that from time to time. And usually these Italian-style sandwiches wind up being one of two things. They're either really good, or they're really bad.
Exosoma.
And for some bizarre reason, I don't know why it is, there's very little middle ground when it comes down to these types of sandwiches. Now, that's just based on experience. Of course, that doesn't mean there isn't any, but usually it's just one or the other. I don't know why it is that way, but it's just what I've noticed. But Wendy's said, we're just going to go for it. We're going to give it a shot. And I think they feel confident that it's going to be pretty good. So here's what it is. Wendy's has released the Italian mozzarella chicken sandwich. Now, they call it a chicken sandwich, but you could theoretically substitute the chicken fillet with a beef patty. In that case, I guess you wouldn't call it a chicken sandwich, but I guess that's for another day. But by and large, they have a crispy chicken fillet, which again constitutes the chicken part of the sandwich. It has a blob of fried mozzarella cheese on top of the chicken fillet. It has marinara sauce drizzled over it, Asiago cheese, and the bun is a spicy garlic knot bun. So it's supposed to have all the flavors of Italy we know and love, of course. And, you know, even if you're not one to travel, as you eat this sandwich, breathe it in, breathe in the air, eat, close your eyes, and you're gonna pretend, you're gonna think
I'm convinced he's an alien.
that you're in Italy. And when you wake up, you're gonna be really confused, and you're gonna be really disoriented. You aren't going to know where you are. You're not really going to remember anything. You're going to think like it was an alien abduction or something.
He got food poisoning?
But that's why I'd probably recommend if you eat this and you go that route, have someone there with you, and then they'll kind of get you back into reality, because otherwise confusion is bound to ensue based on the level of realism that has gone into this sandwich. Because otherwise, I mean, you're going to think that you're actually on a vacation over to Italy. And price for this. Think about it this way. It's $8.50 for the sandwich itself. Just for
Buffalo Wild Wings.
But number one, mozzarella
I think
cheese. I mean,
did I meet you? Was that you that I met at Buffalo Wild
Number
Wings?
two, if you get that desired experience, priceless.
I think I recognize your name.
The Italian mozzarella chicken sandwich from Wendy's. Yeah, you know, I kind of kid, but in the end, the ingredients are what they are. These sandwiches are hit or miss. Like I said, they could be really good, they could be really bad. $8.50 for it, though. It's not a price I think many of us really want to see.
I knew it.
Not a price I want to see, but
yeah.
it just is what it is.
Yeah, my buddy that was just in chat was the one who was with me when that happened.
In $7, $8, $9 range, and it's just.
All right, I'll be right back in a second. Oh shit! Yeah, right when he's about to eat it.
Though, you know, you can see.
It's not a bad burger though. It looks like a fat burger. Hang on. Welcome to Fat Burger. I used to be a chain where I used to live.
Come on. Are you coming in? Are you coming in?
Give me a second, guys. I'm back. Sorry about that. Breathe in the sandwich.
Still is. Pretty big sandwich.
Like a pretty big
There's some weight to it, for sure. If you do the China size to sandwich comparison, you can see that the sandwich is bigger than
Oh, you know
the
what would help?
China.
This.
Let's open it up. Let's take a look at this. Italian mozzarella chicken sandwich. I can smell the garlic. I can smell the garlic from the bun. Very strong scent of garlic. Alright, let's get a close-up. I don't want to get any sauce on my soup if I can avoid it. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But
Ugh.
there's a close-up.
That's not very enticing.
That's the chicken on the bottom. And on the top is that fried
Oh.
cheese. Marinara sauce, and there's the bun.
ASMR crackers.
So that's what it looks like. Let's debun it. Kind of has that red color to it from the marinara sauce. An unforgettable taste of Italy, they say. Because someone somewhere perhaps said that. Alright, you know what's in it, I know what's in it, we all know what's in it, let's try it out. The Italian mozzarella chicken sandwich from Wendy's, it's going in.
It looks like it's hard to take a bite out of. It's just too big. He looks grossed out by it a little bit. He's taking poison damage. He's looking at it like, what the fuck am I eating?
The first bite was a bit unimpressive. The second bite, I did get a little bit of everything. I'm going to try to go in for a third bite and try to get, the real, another full experience. So let's go for this angle right here.
Nom. The chicken looks really undercooked. It looks really undercooked in the middle. It's raw.
It's not as messy as I thought it would be, which is good. That's good. Not as messy. And, well, that's pretty much the only good thing I can really say about it. I guess I'll say this. It's not good. But it's not disgusting either. So that is a positive, if you could call it that. But it is in a way. Because, alright, to compare it to when Burger King released... Let me think when this was. It was last year. I was just trying to jog my memory. When Burger King released their Italian sandwich last year, and I tried it out, that was disgusting. That was like... It was just gross, you know? It was one of those things that it's like, it's just... Ugh. You could have things that aren't gross that just taste bad.
Yeah, I'm
you could have
fine.
things that are just disgusting.
I'm turning it off so you guys don't hear it.
This isn't disgusting. It just tastes bad. That's just what I'm trying to say in that regard. There's a lot of things about this that I just don't like. I understand what they're trying to do with this, and like I said, for some reason, I really don't know what it is about these Italian-themed sandwiches. It's just, they have a track record, and this just continues the trend, unfortunately. I don't know what it is about these sandwiches that makes them so difficult to perfect, but there's always so many problems. I understand why, you know, the approach they're trying to go for, but it just didn't work. Here's the main issue that I have. Oddly enough, the thing is piping hot. And I was surprised, actually. I was surprised how long it's just been at this. Like, alright, I got it delivered. I already have everything set up. Everything's good to go. So as soon as it gets in, you know, I just bring it over, start it up. But the thing, I mean, it was still really, it's hot to the touch. And it's interesting how certain things retain their heat. Either way.
Usually an indicator, though, that something's been microwaved.
It feels really hot, but does it look the freshest in the world? No, it doesn't. But it is what it is. Certain things just take on certain appearances. Don't judge a book by its cover. So then here's the real problem. The saltiness of this thing is unbearable. It really is. And generally speaking, I like salty foods. And I am one that for certain things, you know, I will make use of the salt packets. So I don't really mind salty things. But this is just unbearable. It is just overwhelming. I bite into this, and all that I could really taste is the sodium. I mean, that first bite that I took, I know my bites aren't that large, and the first bite, I mostly just had a mouthful of the chicken. It was just salt. That's all that it was salt. I thought to myself, alright, this is kind of weird, because I've had their chicken sandwiches before. I'll have their chicken nuggets, the spicy chicken nuggets, the spicy chicken sandwiches. There's usually flavor to it. Yeah, so much fast food is loaded with sodium. We all know that. But when I bite in and that's the only thing I taste, you're already wanting to scratch your head. You're thinking, what's going on here? No, I don't know. Let me try to get a better bite. So I did. And, alright, I had a bite of the chicken. That second bite I had the mozzarella cheese, the Asiago cheese, some of the marinara sauce, some of the bun, all of that. What do I taste?
It sounds like too much at once.
That fried blob on the top is pretty much just, I know it's cheese, but it's just salt. The chicken fillet, salt. The bun, a little garlicky. There's no spice to be found here at all. And again, really salty. I feel like they took this sandwich and they dumped just an inordinate amount of salt. And you've had those experiences, right, where you might be preparing something and, you know, you accidentally put a little too much salt on something. It could even be something as simple as just fries, right? You're trying to add some extra salt to the French fries, and you put too much on. And then you know, right off the bat, that's too much, right? It's just not enjoyable anymore. It gets overwhelming. It gets overbearing. It gets to that point where it's like, alright, a little bit is real good. It could add certain characteristics to it. Too much, though, it just ruins it. And then you can't really even eat them, or if you do, it's not going to be enjoyable. Probably not going to be good for you. It's at that level. And, the only thing that does a little bit to try to combat the salt is that marinara sauce, which is the only thing on this sandwich that isn't unbearably salty. That's the only thing about it. where it has those sharp notes from the tomato. And that sharpness is clear as day, because that's the only other characteristic in this sandwich that you could really make out.
Ugh, this is gross.
Smell the garlic from the bun.
Does he go into getting food sickness from this?
The spice, there's none to be found. What can I tell you about the chicken? It's salty. What can I tell you about the cheese? It's salty. What can I tell you about the texture of it? Much firmer than I thought it would be. That's another thing that's not enjoyable. If it looked like I was having some difficulty even trying to separate it, that's because there is some difficulty there. The thing is dry, it's firm, and it is packed with salt. And the only redeeming quality about this thing is the marinara sauce, which again, that is just as sharp as can be. And like I said, the tomato there, it just again has this potent kind of zestiness to it in a way. But part of me thinks, is the marinara sauce really that strong? Or is it just because it's noticeable, being that it's the only thing that tastes different from everything else in that? And even so, I mean, you could see when I took that top bun off, and
Okay, so that he doesn't get into it here. Okay. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Alright guys, I think I'm going to jump off for a little bit, and speaking of food, I'm going to get myself some food. Food that won't get me food sickness or food poisoning or just ass blasts. So, I'll be back on a little later, more than likely. I hope you guys had fun. I definitely did, and we're going to do a lot more of these in the coming year, now that my life is a lot more bullshit free. Alrighty. See you soon. Bye-bye.